Namo Guru Dev. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dharmaya. Namo Sanghaya. Namo Guru Dev. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dharmaya. Namo Sanghaya. Namo Guru Dev. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dharmaya. Namo Sanghaya. Kande laje gwenje dogan raga shosa bungde chunze sheje nyabo gwenje losan sedan jeba nede denje nanga sende bende chizu lama yebe zomga talon debe sena shinjo tenpa yeje geja shoso sheje chungwen jabe lodu gesa nawe genjo leshe tabe beje hamen zebe tongde tembe dende laja ye wo chue na zo me do ti xian do be nang sen te ja wen sha ye de che den jia zo se na xin zhuo che la kan xie tong men de ne sa bo le nga ye so me ge ji ji切不让东巴送去没得，宁年就把这边说说，宁面对的忙的多了，却也帮别天着等于，我不拒绝老人这吧，大家上班特别热闹。其实老忙当把钱难，去过看了亲近真正，其他上边对接什么，上边直接，南大为是引来先把，双手过了恰到明啊，他们拿我说过热的。西的巴多民奴电巴，大作青年上边给我，电当着我滚了旁边，贴不了几只路上找吧，电边宁不人多设计，面面这位的真正的是前面前边我。对我马连中在上边，看见开边逐渐中高，路上常被小乱说话，面面这位的人见的是前面前边王伯这边，对我马连中在上边。看见开边逐渐中高把路上长， sowan de me zebe de jin jin re se chi me kembe wong bon jambe te bo ma le zom ze sa we da kan jin kebe lo san da be sha la sowan de pan de za we la ma rembo da zo ji ru ben den den shu la ga de chen be guo guo zhen de ji mo du zhen du su ban den za we la ma ren bo da so ning ge ran ben den den shu la ga de chen be guo ne chodan temo wedo zendo so banden zabe lama rembo dazo ningara benden denjo la gade che chanjo ningbin bando dembo anjo masan je me shera paru che ma je namga namge ngo so so rang li yi xie zhi yu du sun ye wei cha zi lu de ya ta ga de pa ra sam ga de bo de ye so de ya ta ga de pa ra sam ga de bo de ye so ha te ta ga de para sam ga bo de ye zo ho ge re tong da ja jo xie wa da me de ne be天般的人别总操就别扎心点了有所心别也就没多Soje jonam la janjo bando dane japsoje dage chujurun jibe sonam je dola benje sanje do bora sho chodan soje jonam la janjo bando dane japsoje dage chujurun jibe sonam je dola benje sanje do bora sho soje jonam la janjo bando dane japso je dage chujurun jibe sanje do bora sho Let me remind every one of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it Bodhisattva motivation, or the altruistic motivation seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. So with that kind of at least contrived bodhicitta, altruistic motivation, we should participate in this Bodhisattva's discourse on the perfection of wisdom gone beyond. So as I laid out the other day, that this wisdom chapter presents its theme, first brief presentation, and then detailed or extensive presentation. We already dealt with the brief presentation, and so now we are going to go into the detailed presentation of the wisdom. So in a brief presentation, as we talked about this last time, in order to achieve nirvana or freedom from samsara, enlightenment or Buddhahood, it is a must that we realize emptiness or shunyata, tongpanyi. And so if that is the case, right, of course, in my footnote, we are looking at it from the Prasangika Madhyamika point of view, footnote closed. And so if that were the case, now, we would like to know how can we realize emptiness, shunyata. What are the ways or the means by which we can realize emptiness, and how can we cultivate in our mind the wisdom realizing emptiness? So these are the things we will discuss. So first, we have to deal with the presentation of the two truths, Tenpa Nyi in Tibetan. As Geshe explained, that phenomena are just countless or innumerable. But broadly stated, we can categorize them under these two truths. Conventional truth, or Kunzop Tenpa in Tibetan, Samvritti Satya, and ultimate truth, or Tendam Tenpa in Tibetan, Paramartha Satya. So we can include everything that exists under these two truths. In other words, everything that exists must either be a conventional truth or it must be an ultimate truth. As I said before, phenomena are just innumerable, and we cannot talk about every phenomenon that exists. That's almost impossibility. And so the way we can handle phenomena is if we can classify them in some simple way. Of course, there are many kinds of classifications in Buddhism, but in this context, we classify phenomena into two truths: conventional truth and ultimate truth. So at least, that makes it seem, simpler for us, right? There are two truths we have to deal with. And then the next question arises, what is ultimate truth and what is conventional truth? So as I explained this before, that from Prasangika mathematical point of view, Umathinkubra in Tibetan, even if you are just seeking your personal nirvana from samsara, you must realize emptiness. And of course, if you are seeking Buddhahood enlightenment, you must realize emptiness. There is no other way around it. Yeah. So therefore, we have to deal with what emptiness is. As Geshe explained before, in the Buddhist schools of thought, Sevatandika Madhyamigin and the schools below, they do not claim that in order to achieve nirvana from samsara, one has to realize emptiness. They don't say that. They say you have to realize the selflessness of a person that is commonly accepted in the lower Buddhist schools of thought. But Sevatandika Madhyamigins would say that to become Buddha, you must realize emptiness. So there are those distinctions there.
What is the don't you to base? Don't you do what give a here? That could Liu Maso, but don't you do what give a here? So what he not do that into the chair or Kokorama, but in it don't you go and tell Deva Tamshia so don't you do what give a here? Said
So another outline is we will explore, the reasons or rationality by which we establish emptiness. As a matter of fact, the whole chapter, right, deals with, different viewpoints about emptiness and how to establish emptiness based upon reasoning from highest Buddhist school point of view. The whole chapter will deal extensively with establishing emptiness.
What is it? Shevala, no, Tishi, Yeva Shivasita, Kartava the Joe, Tonudo, that only Mado, and the Tower Toya Yomari, so the Juba said that the Tishi Kasu said, you go, did it, Kaji? That Yeva Shiva Telekazi or something. Then I upset the Yinam Shivas. Said that some the Yawa, the saying any the then la abe then the then baby consac chamber the Jogish la Java Bongas. But that the money not to do that here is the country said the Agarsa then la upset the Yinam Shas. And the good there was in the Jessigory, Todo there was in the Jessigory, said, and the Namsha said, that Kaza Yawa said, that saying is the good there was the correct mood of country, Todo there was country this year. Then the Della bit Kaza, then baby said, Kazak, Keber. The Joju la Joba was that the Del Kazak Chevers, then the Kadesh goes to Kazak, Gagatel Patoba, or this Yumja. At the Jojus, and the Jojus and the Kadaguza, there was the Kadakadi, Todo, there was Kadakadi, Koro, so would share the Jojus, or this. So that they might be now shade, Jotama Gaga killing or what, the Yukon goes or the Karamad. The inside the dot was the Gaga, the Maji Shago, the inside because the short have to do the disease you are receiving to do it. You are the Yawas, so just the Jotama Gaga killing or the Shana the Italian about Ion, Shitama shot on the Kakachi, dot they shot on Kakachi. Seems about the Ronji will tell you so she's done because shot on the Chikbarita. Go to the Chikbata, Tara do what is Joton Chikbaris.
No. So we will deal with truth under different key points or outlines. Of course, the first has to do with what we call categories or divisions. So the truth is classified into conventional truth and ultimate truth, right? So those are the two categories we deal with. So later we have to deal with what is conventional truth, what is ultimate truth, right? We have to define, right, these truths. That has to do with the nature of the truth, right? In other words, and then we will also look at, who is, so to speak, qualified to define the truth among persons, right? There are differences among persons. Can anybody establish the truth, or who can do that or not? And then, of course, the ways of presenting the true truths. As Geshe said, within Buddhist schools of thought, we call Dupta, Siddhant, schools of tenets. Every school talks about true truths. Okay, they use the same language. There are true truths. Okay? But then schools do present their truths differently. The Vipassakas present the truths in their way, and the Sautrantikas above that, they do it their way, right? These are the two lower schools of Buddhist thought or tenets. And then in the higher Buddhist schools of thought, we have Chittamatrin, mind-only school. We have Savatandika Madhyamika, a sub-school of the Madhyamika middle philosophy. And then we have the Prasangika Madhyamikans. Overall, the higher Buddhist schools of thought, we could say that the way they look at nature, at some level, maybe they're converging somewhere, but there are differences. So the point Geshe was making is that in every Buddhist schools of thought, Dupta, Siddhant, every school presents two truths, but the definitions of the truth and how they present are different.
我的定期啊，个啥，这松是，你要啊等这意思，你定的了吧别些，考上去吧是的多，他定要啊是的，工作的吧头的吧三千，这意思的工作的吧是那开始，工作的吧是开始些，我就把这就是些的了，因为这意思嘛，你这这个工作的吧是个是。这是同事的吧？是变成这时候他，考上理性性的理性可能不是对吧？些，那理性上些这边当不得了，你理性那个同都对吧？效果是吧？现在确实这个，对吧？你我那个可是他我们说的是吧？可是啥？我个人的怎么通啊？我怎么就是来着吧？就是我是他们学他们就是个是吧？就是我们这儿可是工作问题最这个，统统问题最一要的是我的是的是吧？我的。
So again, truth is classified into two: conventional truth, Dhamma, Samvriti Satya, ultimate truth, Dhamma Dhamma, Pramartha Satya. And then, of course, we have to deal with what is regarded as conventional truth or the ultimate truth, right? We want to look at the definitions, we want to look at examples of this. And as Geshe mentioned, that every phenomenon means something that exists, has a dual nature, a dual realities, if you will. And the example Geshe has given of a person's name called, Legend. Okay, so make it John, Tenzin, Sally, Mary, who are same. Yeah. So the person himself or herself, Legend, John, Mary, Sally, Tenzin, is a conventional truth, example of, right? But the emptiness of intrinsic existence of that person, John, Mary, Tenzin, Sally, all of that is ultimate truth. So every phenomenon has these dual aspects of the realities, if you will. As Geshe recalled from his memory, great Indian master Acharya Chandrakirti, in his supplement to the Middle Way, states clearly that every phenomenon has these two facets, right? These two realities: conventional facet reality and the ultimate one.
What did the 诚意要啊，诚意的要可是，第一句要啊的诚意的认识，但诚意的可是他的这是别些东西的是吧？可是让我说上面你那那边这个多不晓得可以，可是你那他这边个多不晓得工作点吧？让我说的，我说上面你那的那边个多不晓得，你统统点吧效果，但可能诚意是但我过年最就可是那我的效果的他。
So how do we differentiate between the two truths, conventional truth and the ultimate truth, right? How do we define every one of them? What is the nature of every one of them, in other words? So one way to define is, as Geshe said in the textbook, that which is directly perceived by non-dualistic perception, rather perception that engages with the phenomenon non-dualistically, that phenomenon is ultimate reality or truth. That which is directly perceived by dualistic perceptions, right? The perceptions engages with phenomenon or object dualistically, such phenomena are regarded as conventional truth or reality. So that's how we differentiate between that which is ultimate reality and that which is conventional reality.
我的他诚意现在样的，可是他就这边就可是，前面也都是样子，工作这前面也都是样子，可是好在就把他确实有么的，可是工作的话是他工作有就的刚刚他工作的么的，他可是而且。东西平时刚刚东西有那个什么些，那有的叫有的刚刚，这个是对不些，但头头的话是的内陆的是吧？但内陆的这些些呢， 비가 소화사 내가 먹고 싶은 게 너무 지쳐고 서 그저 대화사야 다 비게 그래서 가져라서 무슨 저들 자꾸 메시 고무고야 샤요 뭐 무슨 저들이 되지 거기 내로 다도 들 내로 락바도 그런 거들 그저 대화사 그런 시도 다도 들 돈도 대고 되지스고야 되지스고리스
Of course, there are other ways of defining the true truth, right? They use different wordings or phrases to define it. For example, we may say that, that which stands, before the ultimate kind of analysis, something that is findable, right? By the perception under ultimate analysis is what we call the ultimate truth. And that we cannot withstand such an ultimate analysis is conventional reality or the truth. So there are different ways, they may all come to the same thing, different ways we define it. In other words, as Geshe explained, that everything we experience, ordinary people, are the examples of conventional truths or realities. Right? Everything that we can see, that we hear, that we sense sensorially are the conventional realities, right? The house, people, objects, everything. Whereas the ultimate truth of the reality has to do with how phenomena actually exist. So that is the ontological reality or the status of the phenomena that requires analysis, accumulating merit. It's not something we can just simply realize it, understand it. So all the things we experience through our sensory perceptions are examples of conventional truth or reality, and the ultimate truth is kind of hidden from us, isn't it? So as we said before, every phenomenon has two facets of realities. It has a conventional facet, which relatively speaking is accessible to us. We can perceive through our sensory perceptions, but then the way that phenomenon actually exists is the ultimate facet of the reality that's concealed or hidden from us. So that requires learning, analysis, and accumulating merit. So in that sense, we can also see that the conventional reality is more like a coarse form of truth, that we can access it more easily. The ultimate reality is more subtle truth that we don't have access to until we learn and do analysis and things like that. So in the commentary on the guide in this particular chapter, Geshe is using the way, again, these two truths are defined are in terms of direct perceptions dealing with objects of phenomena. Conventional truth or reality, it consists of a disparity between the way they exist and the way appear to their direct perceptions, isn't it? So it is like the perceptions are perceiving objects, but there seems to be some kind of a gap there, disparity. They are not perceiving them just the way they exist. They, perceive them how they appear to them, right? That is a conventional reality or truth. Whereas the ultimate reality, appears to its direct perception just the way it exists. So there is no disparity or dualism here. So that's why often we hear this kind of description that the wisdom realizing selflessness, Dharma, Anatma, or emptiness, Shunyata, emptiness, when it directly perceives selflessness, emptiness, it does it non-dualistically. It's very hard to separate between the object and the perceiver. You said that? It is as if they are fused together. They are merged. It's just like water added to the water. The two waters cannot be separated. So like that, the direct perception sort of absorbs into the phenomenon as if, right? And the phenomenon, appears to that direct perception just the way it exists. So there is no disparity, there is no gap, there is no dualism. That's the ultimate reality or the truth.
What is Karsa? Sheva Tang Sheva Deni Topsum Temba De Hidus Deni Chikro Chikro Lamdus Deni Nyamne Taki Sumju Joata Jibu Kapso so Taki Duve Songi Rangji Shuku Shusu Jikuin Sumju Dogabe Tondo Setimanja Kunzo Tande Tondo says Geshe Tangsa, did Geshe, this is the year Topzo Sena, the year the car, Jekza Sharjo, Jekza Shonjo, Jesio Maris.
No, so.
That was a Pesha, Tony says Joshi in Dodo She. And Suja Kudos, the Anteptas or Tisha. Kunzo Naga, Suja could tell you with Papa. In Tono de was a lad over. Said the Kony, Korean the she and Nichols in that job. Lam Jibukati in the Kony Karta, Chongman de Mersin, Topzung Showers, Chito Children Showers. What did that Mayana Penagaja, she designed that Gunzo no judging to right, and then no Jacka may ever do.
No.
Tayon, because Tony Brothers didn't call the Corona Shy. Your Tondo de Bamer do it. Says the Kony Bay Chick Georges Rossi. Yamdo Dread begins to give me a shower, and then got the water showers. I said, teaching the Don Sedo Karsa de Del about the shadow. Because Roshi Motoba, the tiny the was something what he church gave me the shot to have you lumped with it. Tata G the daughter, the Itosun Shivara. Timena in the course of the years, it is on a picture Chungo Yoba mother, mail sorted some of what I didn't do my research.
No, so.
Young Tonta was there, Tonta was there, Tonto said, Tonta was the Demat was the Digmari. Tonto de was the corner new door, and he did Tonto de Basivora. Said that he did do she that was it. The tell about that. They tell you about power of them. In Lam Yams Lingua, Higamara, Lam Yams Lingua, in Jibu Tabata, you can't tell you Marwa.
No, so.
So that the Inn is here, the Shibuki boy in Sivata.
No.
Tondo de Batabs, Tondo de Batabs, you had the Ina come because none the lower Lamu shows almost you went today or what it is.
So as Geshe read from the commentary and explained, establishing and presenting the true truth is quite challenging, right? It's not as easy as we might think it should be, And so, in our mind, we may hold this kind of view. Oh, emptiness, wow, that's something special, right? That's something maybe blessingful, right? Whereas conventional truth, conventional truth. This is where we are wrong. As true truth, they should be treated equally. One is not better than the other, one is not superior to the other. Okay? The two truths are complementary to each other. So we should be able to accept and establish that way. And if not, say, if we, in order to establish the ultimate truth, and if we refute too much the object of negation, then we end up saying that, well, nothing exists at all now. Now we have completely, how should I say, annihilated the conventional realities. That means we have fallen into the extreme of nihilism, isn't it? On the other hand, we say, well, things do exist. I experienced them, and now they think that, well, they must be truly existent. Otherwise, how could they exist? And then we have not been able to understand, establish the ultimate reality, isn't it? And so establishing and understanding the true truth is walking on a very fine line, as I said. That's the middle path. We can't incline this way or that way, otherwise we fall into the trap, so to speak. So we have to walk a very fine line where we are comfortable to say that things are empty of intrinsic existence, but they do exist conventionally and function feasibly well, right? So the true truth must be able to be accepted in that way, right, at the same level. When we are not able to do that, as we establish the emptiness of intrinsic existence, then we think that nothing exists at all, or that we try to establish the conventional realities through our own experiences. Now we think they do exist truly or intrinsically, then we have fallen into the traps or the extreme viewpoints, isn't it? So this is why this is such an important matter. Establishing the true truth is the crux of the matter, whether we do that on the level of the basis, on the level of the path, on the level of the outcome result, right? If we make a mistake here, we don't do that properly, then that's going to affect our practice, isn't it? If we don't establish the true truths correctly, then the practice is going to go wrong. And with the practice that's wrong, limited, is not going to lead us to liberation and enlightenment, as we expected, isn't it? So this is where it is. On the level of the basis, we have to do everything possible to establish the true truth as complementary. One is not better than the other or higher than the other, but they both exist. As we said, every phenomenon has two facet realities, and they coexist, and we should be able to do that. Otherwise, we might become a nihilist, or we might become an eternalist. No.
What did you call that? That Tono lot of good thing with this. No. So the Tono was loyal humor, Tibetan Joe Morris. The Congress company, Joe Morris. That Tono the Malay, Tono loyalty, lot of good with the Tono was said, Lord Mazula, you lose Ranga, Jago Morris. No. What the Mazuji Lord Ranga, the good of the so I remember Tono was a lot of good thing with this. I think it's a museum. Young Tono was a loyal daughter of Morris, your Morris. Loyal daughter, my sure your Morris, sure loyal daughter in Bichara. I said that what in Georgia down to what it is. That is Kaji that Tono them by that cemetery, Machal, that Jeremy saw zero. The Tono them was a Tony said they could. 这样一面就把小鸭们的，统统的和鱼里下，或者什么下，听这个弄下小个么子的，但是理解深圳拿来要的，理解深圳的就是我些我种是吧，是这个当了有没到这的，都学会是吧？啊，对了，是。现在的他都就里面就这个都是这样的。 这个鱼的现在，这个鱼健现在这到处都是可以买的喜欢，可是他，可是这样没有他让谁吃？真正呢，这个下来的，那他讲这一下子这样，真正呢，这个要是给啥是可以没的，以前是不是，可是对，可是嘞，有没到现在那可是啥？这个冲突的做，东西200箱的，他可是啥？ 有没有到200箱里边，错之后就是马进是给人家们的，这都的给人家，是知道， Sitting the Jeremy, not do so that
Nice.
with Cheta Kesa, the Cheta Karsa, Tonula, Jimmy, say, till I did 3 charge thing. Picture that Jeremy, you walk out. It only said, Semeto, I shall be sharing on the picture. Suru Ganga Chikbadi.
Nice.
Tonula said, Katoni said, Korachi. Maybe Chia Masiba, Tony, Rajima, Silver Mother. Don't you lose the chat, teachers, and those shall not, they don't shout to go.
No, sir.
She was the Jeremy, the Gilu shut under the city of Marta,
Nice. Nice.
with this one.
Nice.
And the teaching to a Karsa. Come up with Mijo, the Shias to a Kaji. Or take a woman to be George. Tina Sina Karsa. Tony Tella, Tawani said that I lending what share do is yours. The Sanjay Yamba Sunju Sudi, Jesungua.
No, sir.
But that didn't know Yishina. Pisicama, Mijudo Yishina, Tony said, Jezebel, Shawata.
No, sir.
She Jam Hill Mishina and the calling Vasha Yomara.
No.
Or Timothy, she that Pisi, she does say a Jeremy, she will be Sarah Yomari.
No.
She said, Tia Jinjota, the Kunara Bocheta, in Karsa. The Tigunda. Judge of Pamaka to Ganga, or the day we thought told Jeva she was here, or they Kronos took the house, Kiju, she saw me, the Ganga, Judge Bush in the Ringa Sedon on a Tonde, she doesn't know. Till the mail goes to Jay.
No, sir. Okay, there's a lot, so I will slow down too. I wish Gisela will slow down too for me, but. So Geshe-la's explanation pertains to the third line of the second stanza, okay, where in the prose we have the statement, ultimate truths are not objects experienced by the mind. Okay, so the explanation of that. So some misinterpret it. So what does that mean? Ultimate truths are not the objects experienced by the mind, by any kind of a mind at all, right? That's how people, some interpret it, but that's the wrong interpretation. The mind in this context means ultimate reality is not the object experienced by our ordinary perceptions, like the sensory perceptions and the mind, okay? And because all phenomena are knowable, and who knows them? The mind, isn't it? If something mind doesn't know, then it probably doesn't exist at all, right? So we must understand the mind in this context means the sensory minds, right, do not experience the ultimate truth. Okay? That ordinary sensory minds that we have do not experience the ultimate truth. But of course, ultimate truth is realized by mind at another level. So now whole Geshe-la's that long explanation is it's related to establishing shunyata or emptiness, you know. And so before Lama Tsongkhapa or Rinpoche, many masters, among them many great masters from different traditions, they have really not been able to precisely define what emptiness is, you know. A number of them defined emptiness, almost it translated into nothingness. So emptiness means nothing exists at all, okay? And so things only exist for mistaken perceptions, but they really don't exist at all, because that's what emptiness means, you know? But that is the wrong presentation of emptiness, yeah? So in other words, for them, emptiness is not an object of any valid perceptions. There are no valid cognizers of emptiness, because it's a nothingness, you know. Yeah? And so that's wrong. That's why Lama Tsongkhapa clarified this very well. As a matter of fact, in the early part of Lama Tsongkhapa's life, he himself, personally thought that's what emptiness means, nothingness. If we read very carefully his works called, Lecture Sitting, which is the Golden Rosary, eloquent explanation, he really thought, he realized emptiness, and that was the same as nothingness, So there's this interesting anecdotal story. One time he was sitting with other monks and doing his prayers, then he got completely absorbed into this nothingness absorption that everybody left and he alone was in the hall, And he thought he realized emptiness, but then later he realized that that's not what it is. So in the later parts of Lama Tsongkhapa's treatises, he clarified it that emptiness does not mean nothingness. Emptiness is a phenomenon or an object that is cognized by valid cognizers. So there is an object and perceiver relationship between emptiness is perceiver, right? If something is nothingness, then there cannot be perceiver of that, So that's a very important thing, as Geshe mentioned. So Geshe also heard, listening to footnote, a prominent Kagyu Lama, Sangye Nyingpa Rinpoche. So I have listened to him a bit too. So in one of his teachings, he said the Karmapa Mijue Dorjee, one of the early Karmapas, in his works, actually he really talked about emptiness. If you realize emptiness, you develop more conviction in the law of karmic actions and outcomes. So that presentation of Karmapa Mijue Dorjee actually coincides with what Lama Tsongkhapa said. That's what emptiness is. Other than that, in many even great masters, they fail to understand the complementarity between emptiness and the law of karmic action and the results. So this is why many great masters following Lama Tsongkhapa, like Gyabje Pabonga, Dorje Chang, or the Tugen and others, they make every attempt to be able to clarify, what emptiness means, following the work of Lama Tsongkhapa. Okay. No. So this great Karmapa Mijue Dorjee, one of the previous incarnations of the Karmapa, actually, first he really criticized the Lama Tsongkhapa's work, and then later he realized that he himself got it all wrong. And then he admitted his mistake, and he wrote an apologia, I think that's the word, just asking Lama Tsongkhapa to forgive him. And then he said, now I realize you are the really authentic and valid master, and I got it wrong before, so please forgive me. And so that's the connection between these two great masters. So Geshe recalls from his memory in that apology, which is a really long one actually, one particular stanza, pay salutation to Lama Tsongkhapa said, in the northern part, so this is referring to the Tibet, where Lama Tsongkhapa was, he said many have misinterpreted the Buddha Dharma in different ways. Then Lama Tsongkhapa, metaphorically used, he polished, and he clarified and cleaned up all that mess, interpretations. So therefore, I bow down to the great Gelugpa tradition, Ryu Gendempa, I bow down to you, That's what he said,
What did that? Come out, in the Sanjan Yambabuche, Sundon, the almost with Javana, come up with the in the town is on the Lindley, never said, said, that's the Kondina, and what did you want to show that?
So what I just said is that I listened to one of the teachings of Sangye Nyingpa Rinpoche, Kagyu Master, and he talks about the commentary by Karmapa Mijue Dorjee on the middle way Chantakritis, and in which he says that if you truly realize emptiness, that should complement and, how should I say, your conviction in the law of karmic action and results, right? And I think this really coincides with Lama Tsongkhapa's presentation of emptiness or the true truth. And so then also he wrote his Apologia, and I just gave you a sample of that. He said, you are the one, Lama Tsongkhapa, who cleaned up all that messy interpretations, so I bow down to the Gelugpa tradition here, right? So combining all of those things, then I'm comfortable to say, in a sense, that Karmapa Mijyo Dorjee's commentary on the middle path, right, got the emptiness right,
What is a legend of Jing Song or that human? Sita Monzo, Kansa Tame, that made the law you don't have country to Jones on any danger Chevas in Zingage, non gaging. They may Chevas in Zingage. The end of the new kind of Cheva Maziva, Tagas Puma and the Puma Kona around Zizanjik. But did a lot into some jewelries or Takajing on the lost something you ever hear sooner? Any days or Karsa, Dharma Nikon, Shartse Simpson Lasso, Tenzin the Tenzin Dorjee, Lotan and Liqua Kiba Juro said, Gapesha, you ever the Rahi, you must have a share motor share. You never you share, Rahi made the marriage, the mother said, Rahi maybe you want Joe to what he gets here. That is Joe Shenna. Any Dharma Karsa Disgora. Dharma Lindy Longer Piece soon to go over to Gora.
No.
Dharma you with that longer sugar. Dharma in the country where you can dig it as you are what you love that ship is so good.
So in Lama Tsongkhapa's work called Lekshe Nyingbo, Essence of Eloquent Explanation, he mentions, as Geshe recalls from his memory, there are three possible perceptions, of a phenomenon or phenomena. So one is that we perceive phenomena as if they are truly existent. So phenomena characterize of true existence. Or there is a perception that phenomena are perceived without the appearance of true existence. So phenomena is perceived, right, as non-truly existent. Another one. And then it's possible that phenomena are perceived, neither as truly existent nor as non-truly existent. So if we really understand those three possible perceptions, right, that would really help us to be able to understand, emptiness better. Because, oftentimes many got the emptiness wrong, and they said that until you realize emptiness, you must respect the law of karmic action, everything, behave very properly, karma is going to bite you. But then when you realize emptiness, then nothing exists. Do whatever you like, So they got such a wrong understanding of that. But if you truly realize emptiness, as we said before, with Lama Tsongkhapa and Karmapa Mijyo Dorjee, that should actually amplify your conviction in the law of karmic action result. Now you are going to appreciate and follow the law of karma even more, right? Your realization of emptiness. So that's what Geshe wants to share.
What did Jared was the largest one on the Hilaka to your Tikarsa? Tada de Hila Namya, that only to Delhi, Yawa Pemo, the insurement was shared, then you want to me at the machine, and the temple never shown those. The last one got the song.
I don't know. No, so.
Said that go yard of my that's Sunday temple, the cities are showed over.
No,
Said that new door. Then the mother was a car, they can coffee and I told my new bar. Said that the car they can never show those. How much it was so.
Shila, Sunday, the Hamagon Soro. No, sir.
Shila Kadulia, my don't do how don't.
No, sir.
But so Vietnam Yard, should I say that the woman does this? Some years never knew those. Till a car day and they never so you never paid to me, never showed those. Some you because it's some in Lokbat, so you never do.
No.
Never shows you.
Geshe is chuckling over this and recalls really clearly in his memory. He said, you have all got teachings on the great Lamrim. In this section on special insight, Lama Tsongkhapa says very clearly, and Geshe quoted the lines verbatim, and he says that, if really you don't understand, the special insight, emptiness, as it is, and also the union of calm abiding and emptiness, then he thinks that such individuals, it's better for you not to give Dharma teaching and not to write commentaries of the Dharma books. He said, it's much better, just be quiet. Even if you are not benefiting anybody else, you're not harming the Buddha Dharma, he said. So that's such a very strong, powerful one. Because if you started to write commentaries on the Dharma, give teaching without understanding that, then probably you are giving a lot of, misinterpreted teachings, and that's going to, add more misunderstanding to the Buddha Dharma, right? So that's not a service to the Dharma, that is really harming the Dharma. So he said, just be quiet. At least you're not benefiting others, but you're not harming them, So Geshe is chuckling over that, right? He recalls that statement. So Geshe says he realized that there are many English translations of different versions of the Lamrim text, stages bad, but he's talking about the great Lamrim, Lama Tsongkhapa. He says, now is this in English, so go in, look in the section on special insight, and you will find Lama Tsongkhapa saying that. So relatedly, or Geshe wants to recall that, of course, in the context of sutra discourses, right, when it comes to establishing, presenting emptiness, many great masters attempted to do that in Tibet, but many failed. They were not very precise about what emptiness is until Lama Tsongkhapa came on the scene. Yeah? And Lama Tsongkhapa also, in the early part of his life, he pretty much subscribed to the view of nothingness as emptiness, but then later he realized that's what's all wrong, and then he clarified, and he precisely clarified it. This is where many other great masters from different traditions have appreciated this unique contribution of Lama Tsongkhapa, right, to understand emptiness. Now, in the context of Tantra, again, Lama Tsongkhapa has done another unique contribution when it comes to understanding the illusory body, or Gyulu. Yeah? Until Lama Tsongkhapa came on the scene, most of the masters thought illusory body means something that appears, right, to you, but it exists, in some different way, almost like disparity between appearance and existence. That's how they explained it. Only when Lama Tsongkhapa came, he said, well, illusory body, it really arises out of the subtle wind energy that always accompany with the subtlest mind. That is which really arises into illusory body. So he really precisely came out of that, So many great masters appreciated that. And Lama Tsongkhapa himself has explained that very clearly in Rima Selten, a lamp illuminating the 5 stages. In the footnote, many of you know it's all in English there, right? The big one, published from the classic Tibetan studies by Thubten Chimba's group, right? There's that. So himself explained that very clearly. And then many other great masters like Kungtan Tenpe Treme and Changyal Rebe Dorjee, Thugen Chönyima, right? And all of them, right? Based on Lama Tsongkha's work, even I just tried to clarify that, right? And sort of share that more across. Yeah.
돈좀 되면 로칸 그냥 시작 많이 봐 태워서 요요버 송 디나 십자대 제점에 대해서도 와서도 돈을 넣어서 그거에 대해서 다들 회사 어디 들어가서 캐는 거다. 돈도 넣어 유머서 들어.
네.
제가 어떻게 캐는 지금 말해서 제로 송단 나이들 가지. 아니 돈도 넣어 유머서 지금 말해서 로 건설 유머서 되게 십자식으로 그래서 디나 들어도가 뭐 고마라지다 지고 지금 다요고 다 되는 야 고마라지다 미라비
No, so as Krishna was reading the commentary on that, the commentary really exactly follows the way Lama Tsongkhapa has established emptiness, because that particular statement, the ultimate truths are not the objects experienced by the mind. Many masters took that literally as it is. Okay, so the mind cannot understand the ultimate truth, right? But that's not the meaning of it, as we said, not by the ordinary sensory perceptions of the mind. So as Lama Tsongkhapa interpreted it, and that you can find more in his work called Kongpa Rapsel, illustrating the intent of the thought. I think that's also in the English footnote in the classic Buddhist studies. So those are important textbooks, right? Where Lama Tsongkhapa talks about how emptiness is an object of valid perception. It's not like nothingness, and therefore there is no perceiver there, Yeah.
니나지 간주스고 어지 유시서도 라탭자데 또 도머스고 또 뭐도 쓰고 뭐로 타베냠샤도 또 디케서 십자셰도 이제르버 유야 되지 니나지 레고스 주 디케와네 군저데베 뭐 조도시 도도데베티 가쇼네 슈그데다 군저데베티 주저 누구서 때문에 돈이 해나 롱은 냐모스 어때 가제 대다 디나리 십자신이 준주 그런 쓰시나이 마시 십자시도 저도 십자시도 고마라지다 제로 이제 가지 말다 가지 어디선도 가지 돈이 야로의 유인세 그러면 라유 말씀 좀 봐봐 돈이 그거
So again, Geshe read from the commentary where many masters take the literal meaning of this statement. Ultimate truths are not the objects experienced by the mind, but that's the wrong interpretation. So what it means is that ultimate truth is not the object of ordinary minds like our ordinary perceptions, like the sensory perception in particular, or it's not the object of a dualistic perceptions that we have. Of course, the ultimate truth is a knowable phenomenon. So there has to be something that knows it, right? It's not a nothingness. And so we have to be able to differentiate between that, right? That ultimate truth is a knowable, and it is directly perceived by non-dualistic perception. So that is the knower or the perceiver of the ultimate truth. And if you say where it is, so it is when the Aryas, the transcendental beings in a state of meditative equipoise on emptiness, right, their mind is non-dualistically and non-conceptually, right, knowing or experiencing the emptiness. So it's only that kind of a mind can realize emptiness, not the dualistic minds that we have, not the ordinary minds that we experience every day. Okay? So emptiness is not object of these minds. Yes.
tela jigde so kangba chok tela te ya kangba tambo ni de tela bebe kansa tela kangba chima ni chima hi te da ge lo Tommy Chevershire dos. Dini Tela Dini Tela Bebala, Hugbe Kazatela, Jigdede, Jigzola, Jigdede, Jigzoji, Pungo, Dahi Dendu, Sonet, Dahi Dendu Sonet, Tabe Kazat Nava is Sonde. Don't you go to the Hila Sunji, things in the Debe, Ninja Omabada. Over the road, you are my Peba Guma, Tini, moving two on the Sieni, Shege, don't you toss some Toba Namja, Ninja Jedi Homes de la Jutal Lama Jew Kansa. 남장 페베스도 페베 공수 두 송스 되나 조베 지고네 nen저베 지된라 제바니 여라 지된 페발라 양 줍데라 조아다 마조니 여바 텐도 들라 지데베 지데 페바 오마에 줍달라네 들라 지데 Pewa Mumayo Dudalani, don't you the Nenjave Jidigi, the Kaza to Omabe Ribe near day. When sometimes Shiva did do the Kelemba, Omabe Chik to Jusogi, Ribe Gojang, Tisho the Pewa Gomawang, Chupta Koma Tagi, Chuda Ome, killing God in there. 신도니 규제 샤미 심자베 카사 샤미 켈레마 심자베 리베 케과도 치메 두마시 제조 텐데바소 도데 고징 시르베 다제랑하제 강사 켈레바니 신도니 리베 고뉴베 소자 데도스 데르다 거제 시자들 바가 로 차오드선 가사 개원조다 니셔고다 가지 소일 과용게지 과문게 니샤들 로 차들 가예다 인수 카르로 샤나 이니 코 데조 고라기도 샤 가시 에 데조라 예마 데메라 예샤지 디나 나조 요리스 세다 디야 돈이 과 가제 요나 디글로 샤드다시 돈이 과 짜는 게 데조나 디시 혼일로 처음에 좀 셔네. 지금 봐. 제 네번도 죽으셔 지고 시작하는데 계가요 말인데 유지가 가사 거는 셔네. 이 시작 범어좀 찍이나 뭐 찾으고 잠을 자시어요. 레스. 제가 들어야 얘네 돈이 또 가사 듣는 것인데 엄마 돈이 맞아বে 범발로 서비스 누구요? 레스. 다가지 고랑시 집에 개발도지 차도로 그래서 토메기야 가지야 고마 편나야 내신성으로서 육 내룩도 그래 아니 가서 시다와지 또봐 숙셔를 두고 해서 아니 개발되지 로 유지야 법바다와지 지발지 또도 저시 개발이 요리셔서 가사 개발 따주로지 개발신 이 처음에 뭐 보여를 봐도 제가 and
So Geshe-la's reading of the commentary pertains to the stanza number 3 there. Okay, so I'm just saying stanza number 3 because I have the whole prose. I don't have a stanza in my translation here. But those of you who are used to the same guide, we are on page 137 by Stephen Batchelor's translation. So that stanza number 3 tells us about the different orientations individuals bring to the truth, right, emptiness. There are those individuals who realize the emptiness for what it is, right? And then there are those who don't realize the emptiness because for them everything appears as truly existent and they believe that that's how everything exists, right? So people, the same phenomenon can appear in different ways to different individuals and perceptions. So this is why we have, people's orientations towards the truth. Of course, those who have realized emptiness, right, their perception is going to counteract the perceptions of those who have not realized emptiness, isn't it? People who have not realized emptiness have grasping at true existence, right? And we're still stuck with the clinging and grasping every of them. People who realize emptiness, depending upon their levels, they have less of a grasping, or they have loosened up everything, or they don't have the grasping at all, right? Depending upon the levels. So as you, spiritually grow on a higher level, the higher level insights are going to counteract the lower level perceptions and insights, right? So those are the differences, exist.
What is it? Conse, that Juda Shidosina, and the Juda Oma, the Koma, they do the quality, then fire the Gagajon show or Tiri. Though they were Shirama, on though they were telling you why I was the
No.
though they were never so young. Young thought they were the same of Tonga, Tita Oma Ranjua, Tita 10 years in and the Jutashi Koran, Tommy Shani. And you tell by a shepherd to the water yours, Gagachiba Maris, Chick, Oma to Como, regret down, and don't show you what never see a Paguris or this was that.
So in other words, like even within the Buddhist schools of thought or tenets, Siddhant, Dupta, like we have a Vibhasika school, realistic. We have Sautrantikas, the Sutra followers. We have the Chitta Martin, mind only. Then we have the Madhyamigans, classified into Sevatantika Madhyamigan, Rangkyupa, and Prasangika Madhyamigan, Thingyupa, isn't it? So all of them are dealing with the true truths, But as compared to the Vibhasika's presentation of certain realities, then as we look up in the Sautrantikas, Dodeba, then they got it more right, isn't it? So their philosophy or tenets can counteract, right, the lower level presentation where the others have gone wrong. Now, the Chitta Martins on the Mind-Only school have got the truth more right, so to speak, than the Sautrantikas. So then the Sautrantika philosophy now started to have more problems, isn't it? And then the Madhyamigans look at the Chitta Martin Mind School. Now they realize that while Chitta Martin's got a lot of more problems, the Madhyamigans have fewer problems. And within the Madhyamigans, we have the Sevatantika Madhyamigan and the Prasangika Madhyamigan. So from Prasangika Madhyamigan point of view, even the Sevatantika Madhyamigan, they're buddies, right? Same school. They got little more problems there. So this is how higher level insights, understanding can counteract and harm, as we would say, or contradict, harm the lower level insights and perceptions.
What is it? Shirama, then Pasha, this Gaga, young daughter, daughter, Sims of a John Toya Jodi, and Omaranji was it, tell you a bond, so because don't touch just Shirama said, yeah, she said, no, then pop. And the Tower Tavichabo, Lindsay, Namjaka, then pop, Sasson, then pop to Gujiro. That does a machine and George of Shavor, said that the Oma to look there for the Komoko Magagi of Sherry Conje. Juta Moma to the Komoko Jutadia, here, the Pendo used to Babdi do you see the Babdi insult.
So, for example, in the Buddhist schools of thought, the lowest school is called Chiramaba, realist, or Vibhasikas. But they present, right, the objects of knowledge, and they have a path, and they believe that path leads to the liberation, right? So they think they have complete presentation of the path there. But then when the Sautrantikas look at them, you said, yeah, but yes, some things you got right, some things you didn't get right. So the Sautrantikas can critique, right, and present it better. So like that, then the higher schools, as they look into the lower schools of thought, they find more problems and limitations, But that being said, as we said before, what is presented in the lower schools of thought, as a matter of fact, helps us to be able to understand the higher philosophies. It's just like the rungs in the ladder. the lower stairs lead up to the higher stairs, right? And so this is very useful, you know.
What is Tishulas, Pivago, go the Shindoni, Jude Shami, Kelema, Samson, Rebecca, Shime, Duzi, Zero, Shime, Dumas, Zero, Deva, Do David, Gojin, Chiri, Vitali, Ramachin, Da, Kelema, Shindoni, Rebecca, go number soldier, 10 doors, or there's that. 이제 먼저 저다 뭐 희는 신도 이선을 저다 뭐 마슈레디 지나 치료발 때나 에네가 저까지 패밀리면서 다다바 켈링 저도는 에네 콘소베 세마케르와 세메키부터 밥 에네 방랑 렌레나야 될 밥, 타바 탐시와 될 메고와 셰지 에네 간저 남베 저다 뭐 나신데 거기 말이디 세상에서는 배 용서 안 되는 콘소베 산조 강가 때는 파시도 시라야 세도 토벌이 했습니다. 도서도 제거로.
So of course everything is relative, right? Depending about who we are compared to who, right? I mean, in the Buddhist schools of thought, Vaibhasikas are the lowest school of thought, right? Then all other higher schools can critique what has been presented there, and they feel like you are really at the bottom of the totem pole there. But then from Buddhist school perspective, as compared to non-Buddhist schools of thought, where they talk about there is what we call independent and permanent entity self, whereas Vaibhasika said that there is no such self. So from that point of view, the Vaibhasika's philosophy is, right, in some sense, getting it right, correct, I mean. Although among the Buddhists, they are the lowest school, but compared to others. So everything is relative, who we are comparing it to, and, something like that. And so because Vaibhasikas do present about, they believe in the law of karma, the theory of karma, law of karmic action and result, right? And they do present what needs to be abandoned, what needs to be adopted. So they have whole path leading to, they believe, to the nirvana, right? Yeah.
Doctor, regarding your no come regret, go by 10 years. Total women do the times you go by Mela. Tell myself, Mark, do the page was Coma come Lamdic that you were song source. But that did Chipsadi Coco. That total Mark. Como go says the Kozu Deva Ganga Kachagres and the Marisi. Report and give us, she shall be get Chisel, the Rebecca or Mother. Couldn't tell about you get the Edikawa. No, he made that and couldn't do it to Ya Tado Bay. Chitama, the Dode Jotahia, Tapi Dose. Dode was Simson with the Tapi Tower door. Simson with here, Ronji, here to tell you a tower year, taps the Rashi. Oma, the Komoko Baptist, the here, but this is. You couldn't do Zoom with your Google citizen. Oma, they are Gaga card of the Maris, or the
So the commentator is bringing this fine kind of attention to the details, so to speak. He said that when we say that the higher schools of thought within Buddhism, for example, so they do refute, right, certain views of the lower schools of thought. It doesn't mean that they refute everything presented in the lower school, not like everything has gone wrong. Okay? Of course, whatever they presented right, they accept it. But where they have distorted viewpoints, that's what they challenge and they refute it. And so this is why, the Vaibhasika's, certain presentation really helps us to be able to understand the Sautantika's viewpoint better. And what is presented correctly in the Sautantika helps to understand better the Chitta Martin or the mind-only school. The mind-only school, whatever it is got right, it helps to be able to understand the Sevatantika Madhyamikan viewpoint. And what Sevatantika Madhyamikan, that helps to understand the Prasangika better. So everything is interconnected, right? Helps you, not like everything got wrong in the lower schools.
What is sung so se dong yi do be se nian zhe ba nang pe de zhe la minu de nya na nian zhe ba oma ba lo me lo to me yi che gi yu ta de ba on de she ne zhou lun ba da san yi ba la so ba de koma nam ji se so se so lu ma de sa tang bo la so lam da oma nam 산로 오만남지 남 세기 누는지 내가 저기 산로 고마 무게 방자 방마바 또베 요데 쳐바지 또 뭐도 이거 쳐바 주기 싫어스 되네 pen 오만 죽발레 틱쟁지에서 사탕구 성부주도 이런 다저바 남 세기 세기 누는지 사드바 예지 돈이 라 주도 쳐바지 숨베스 로이도지 고네 세기 넘버 숨바타 저시스 어디다 세기 누스데 뇌세아디 거기 고마고 또고 요데 야가자 에노 오마 드소시는 거기서 멤버 손데 되게만 세기 누르시 말이지 야 오메 세메 저디버디 고소 가도 되게 계속 그 말이지 이제 남의 중계나 가서 투시 중계 근데 현도시야 저도 가르치는 게 네바신 쳐봐요 어디서 쳐봐 쳐을 말이지 야 거기 배제 배 다서 네셔디서 되게 말이지
So as Krishna read from the commentary, explained that when we say that higher schools of thought, so they do critique and refute certain things presented in lower schools of thought, but that's not to be said that they perceive them as if they're enemies or something. There's no animosity or hostility among them, yes, we use the term Felpa, ordinary perceptions of people, and the yogis or meditative realized beings. Of course, the yogis' perception realization are going to be able to contradict or, as we say, challenge the ordinary perceptions, But then among yogis, they're all not on the same level, right? And that those who have a higher level yogis, so their realization can again sometimes critique or, as we say, counteract the lower level perceptions, because we talk about, in the context of spiritual grounds, we have ground from 1 to the 10th, isn't it? So there are yogis on all these different levels, and the higher level yogis' perception are going to challenge the lower level yogis' perceptions there. Those.
그래서 야 방조시다 솔론 내갑서다 이네 졸론 내갑서시나 규직이나 아니 가만가만이 심하심하다 야 똑같아 얘도 예마수도 시다 만주저서 좀 뭐뭐 통하게 봐 근데 그것도 렌데도 쇼크탈게 밀링도 내가 그냥 쇼크에 렌데 나야 시제는 좀 보시고 그래서 이게 마시게 될 겨울 봐서 다들 렌데 개와 셔 잠들어 컨셀랑나 소소야 배 년에 야고시나 이든 로다 도와들 야지르고 예마 삼주다 주마 삼주배 고도 줘야 뭐 보여요 어떻게 찍어야겠어
So it's not only that different peoples at different levels of realizations, their perceptions and insights could challenge the other peoples on a different lower levels, But even if we think in terms of the same individual, the same mind stream, right, same person, as we progress on the paths and the grounds, right, that as we go on the higher level, then we look back on our lower level realization things, then we can find out, the limitations and where we got stuck, Say if you're on the path of accumulation and now you move to the path of preparation, you look back, what kind of mistakes you had, where you got stuck, what were your problems, what do you deal with. Now from path of the preparation, you go to the path of seeing, and then you look down on the ordinary paths, what are the things you went wrong, right? And then on the path of seeing, you go to the path of meditation, you look back. So you will find a lot of, learning and growth through your own realizations. You're not comparing yourself to anybody. You are just comparing yourself to yourself on different levels, isn't it? So as the example Geshe give is that, say, somebody who doesn't believe in law of karma in the beginning, right? I have no idea what this is, and I don't think this is something makes sense. But then through your study, everything, now you come to believe there is such thing as law of karma, natural, isn't it? And then you believe in that. Now you try to follow it. Then through your own growth, then now you're able to practice the law of karma better, isn't it? So as we progress spiritually in our own ways, and we will find a lot of limitations down below where we got stuck, right? That's just the natural thing, So Geshe said we will stop there today and we welcome your questions. I know we are not going much in the text. I like it. We just get stuck with one stanza or less than off, and this is the way I like it personally. My hidden agenda here. But anybody on the online? Yeah.
Yes, we have one online right now. So this person asks, if emptiness is an object of a perceiver, since there is an object and an observer,
yes,
isn't that still dualistic? His Eminence Song Rinpoche mentioned that there is object emptiness and subject emptiness. Please explain this.
Sure. Okay, that was very clear to me, so I don't have to ask too many questions to get clarified. Taje thone kandi shungay chik rawa gen. Ta dagi di sung rawa tongba ni sigen di ene ko yu de chen tongay ge lo chama ji yu chen ji yor la rawa gen. And dide iba ina tongba ni sigen kora yu che rawa gen. Yan del ta de ge yu chen kangsa ine rawa gen. Chik dis di kala di yuba daga rangi ni na cha de yomar wes rawa ge chu ni yor was ga yu de yu chen ni rawa ge. Cha de yomar wes. And ngema japji song ro je phedu kala japji song ro che ge tene this song ske yu ge tongni da yu chen ge tongni seng je rawa ge. Sa dige de king ge seshes na ro na su ge sa ge rawa ge. Na.
Le da yu tongni da yu chen tongni se na chu shen ka chan so sha ge mo ge tongni koro ngo jo de la ganga chikpa yin se she ta de tongni de chikpa chik ya mo do men da yo ma ri sing se 자现在那说到门上也门上多门上说他的忙不下来了
No.
东西的三级中的那个等于东西呢这个就是就他们的东西呢这东西可能我看几个就这么一些没这下要嘛的是
No, so.
这是我说
그래. 다 동이 디 유체 될 땅에 유체에서 다가 rangi ke ni cha de yomar wes ni na ro.
아 됐니나 지금 니나 세지다 군도 너 니나 샤 제가 여러 니나서는 조조 되서다 내가 내배 나와서
No, so. No. Okay, so I'm coming back to the question. Well, in terms of presentations, we say that emptiness is the object. It is as if there. And then there is the perceiver, valid cognition, or a person as an observer. Looks like there's two things, isn't it? Because we talk this as two things, it doesn't necessarily mean there has to be dualism already there. Okay? Well, dualism can be explained in many ways. And one way is that conventional appearance of phenomenon is considered as dualistic appearance. But in this context, we are looking more at the appearance of true existence, right? If you have an appearance of a true existence, then you have a dualistic appearance, because we theoretically talk about emptiness as object and there's a perceiver, it doesn't mean there has to be necessarily dualism all the time. Okay? Because the perceiver, as we said before, when it non-conceptually and directly engages with the object, then it is as if they are fused together, right? Now, regarding the, what we call the emptiness of the object and emptiness of the subject or the perceiver, it's just different of talking about it. As far as emptiness is concerned, it's just the same. There is no qualitative difference between emptiness of object and emptiness of a perceiver, and it's just a different basis upon which emptiness is established. Emptiness is the same, Buddha is empty of intrinsic existence. We, the ordinary deluded people, are empty of inherent existence. As far as that emptiness is concerned, Buddha's emptiness and our emptiness is just the same, right? It's not like one is holy and the other is unholy there, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So hopefully that answers the question. Yeah. Yeah.
I have 3 areas that
Sure.
I'm a little bit.
Maybe if you have 2 questions, give me one at a time, okay?
Yes, yeah, I will. Well, this is related a little bit to what we were just talking about with the direct yogic perception of emptiness.
Yes.
And then we said that conventional reality is object of sensorial perceptions, while emptiness is the object of the direct yogic perception. We're not bringing in inferential perception of emptiness here because that's also an ordinary mind. So why we just don't want to talk
Good
about
one.
it? Or
Yes.
Yeah, that's question number 1.
Okay, let me ask that first. Yeah. Quran condition the this go again. That the nganzo kason that peba da nenjo bagi rwage tongni la ta dan che rwage. Nenjo bagi da tongni da ngosum da ta sig rwage. Ni na mebe sig rwage. Da nganzo di karsa go peba de da tongni di lokun za bi ta thong ma la rwage. Zite kanglia ani tanda di cheba seme ki tongni to sig rwage. And this shigmi do asa cheba seme tongni to di ani di rwage kaso da nganzo you payback, right? Lo chado yo marwesa. That in nenjo bag toko chag marwas wala.
Jibasa that you pay us na mar nenjo ganga julu gaji.
Yo chogor bada. No. But the equal again is sungu so right. Tagin anzo yawa kariche se de kala toni nina nube se de tong and nenjo ba sharo age. Ta nina de chebe ta samtang ga de anzo ro age. Di ni parol ya cheba seme gi toni tokzu da di 기부 패와다 내줘봐 니가 라리아 요초가 되게 셰요 말와게 다디게 데스 데셰용
니가 요초게 자 또과 니나 요베 차죠
no
지디 내줘봐라 돈이고도 쳐봐라
나래
제바세마
다이네 제바 세메이나 겐티 니나 여러봐 제바 세메
제바세마 니나요 제다 니나요
no so
제다 니나세야 된 것도 유유지 그게 철셔셔 뭐 이거 니나세가 뭐야
that's good. Because I want to Geshe to say more. He was like, okay, so what? And I'm like, no, Geshe, you have to talk about it, right? Explain it. You know, you have to explain what it is. That's why now it's my job. That's right. Earlier, what we talked about, basis here is that not all yogis, right? But it's possible that yogis have non-dualistic direct experience of emptiness, right? Whereas with the ordinary people, we have a dualistic, right, perceptions of phenomena, and so therefore our dualistic minds do not perceive emptiness. Now, what about inferential, like valid? Well, the inferential cognition of emptiness might exist in the ordinary minds, or it might also exist in the minds of some yogis, because yogis are at different levels, isn't it? We cannot assume that all yogis directly perceive emptiness. There are those. But inferential perception or understanding of emptiness is still very dualistic. Okay? While it's not dualistic in the sense that the object is appearing to your perception, that particular cognition as truly existent, but then there is still the subject-object dualism, and also there is the appearance of conventional appearance. So that's what it is, So inferential valid cognition of emptiness could exist in ordinary being like us, or it might exist with some yogis, right? But still that is a very dualistic, right, understand. But it's not a sensory perception, okay? Yeah.
Number 2. Yeah. No, okay, this is where maybe I wrote it incorrectly. So there was a point where you mentioned that there's a perception of inherentness, and the perception of non-inherentness, and I think it was, and the perception of neither inherentness and non.
Right.
I'm not really sure why we're talking about it like this. So I think I need a little more clarity on what we're trying to say here.
Yeah. This is that again. I don't think it's in this book, but he got out his Geshe-las. Dagi did now so again. Karsa or tanda yu di rwa ke nangdang la cha sha be na tembar drub 내가 가서 대만 두배 나와도 집에 낭다 직세로하게 아니 대만 먼두배로하게 낭다지 니니 가에 많이 배 낭다지 열심으로하게 어디 때스마 세세 낭다디 야보 고서면서 디 단다로하게 동이 도와를 가리 대화차고 그래서 어떻게
제제 되게 돈이 저 가르쳐 그래서 됐어 보다 되게 남자들 마셔나 얘네 유바 효도 내려오셔 내가 뭐라도 매로 심어도지 내가 뭐저 유바 사드 샤오도 샤오로
알아요.
그 되게 숨어도 로 나서 해서나 얘네 유는 내가 저 보고 와요 내가 뭐저 보시 유아 유게 어디 남자 샤도 샤오레스
단데 되게 낭주 숨데 강사지를 용초고 용초고
거기 있는 거사직 제나 왜 거사직라 바로바로 차도 요래 지다 거사
숨자 요초고 지다 강사 담아서 거라게 so Geshe said that those three perceptions we talk about, right? That it is possible, we talk almost like for different people, but I checked whether it's possible for one person to have all three, right? Geshe thinks it is. So it is possible, those are three possibilities, right? Things we might perceive them as being truly existent because there's appearance to existence. We may perceive them as non-truly existent, right? With no appearance to existence. Or we may perceive them as neither, right? With that qualification, true existence or non-true existence. Yeah. Now, if we understand these three possibilities, then that really helps us to understand the emptiness. Why? As Geshe said, because, there's that belief that when you perceive things as truly existent, so many people believe that's how the things exist actually, isn't it? We are grasping that, isn't it? So they don't see the possibility of how things could appear as non-truly existent. Does that make sense? But then if you think about truly existent perception, then some people think that, well, now things don't exist at all. Right? Then we say, but it's possible that things would appear to you as neither as well. So what we are getting at is through this sorting out perception is that it is possible that things, appear to us as non-true existent, but yet they actually exist. They're not non-existent. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah, please, yeah. Yes.
Is this something that ordinary beings have?
All these three, you mean?
All these three. Because if that's the case, that means that ordinary beings have some different, because everything appears to us, ordinary beings, as truly existent.
Yeah. Quran studio tanda king di sum she di nganzo khangsa phebala robage dije damanra ya nangzu sumga yongchugo yorobesa kaisa nganzo le che daman nang de yorobage de sumdang nang
바로 이기래 삼성 대매들 제가 가야 마셔 상대 대저 당한도 다 대매 제가 나한테 돈이 마서나 여봐라
tabe cheba seme toni don nang chugo robage yeah Geshe thinks that for an ordinary person, theoretically speaking, it's possible that true things which are easy for us is how things appear to us as truly existent, right? That's how we experience. Or things could appear to us as neither truly existent, non-truly existent. That's possible. But things appearing to us as non-truly existent, for that, at least we should have a valid, inferential, valid understanding of emptiness. Then it's possible as an ordinary people, they could still appear to us that way. Okay?
In that case, simultaneously. Because since there is not moment when things do not appear as truly existent, so even when we have inferential realization of something, of emptiness, we still things still appear as truly existent. So then we're having simultaneous different perceptions, one of truly existence and one of not true existence.
Quran disiguro nganzo ta cheba semegi tongyi to wachashana roage 다 cheba seme tongyi to hago goza ta chö든지 tembar maru hago gorwage hago go yoberde ta tanda nangzul ya tembar do nang chugo robasa ta nyamdol henjil yong chugo robasa. Yes. Yes, the simultaneous it could exist. You realize that things are non-truly existent, but yet still they appear to us as truly existent. Yes. So the one of the classic examples of this is a magician creating the horses and elephants out of pebbles and twigs, right? Now, when the magician creates that magic, right? Of course, people who are good by his magic, everybody feels the horses, the elephant, they are real. But for magician himself, the horse and elephant appear still. But he knows these are not real. I made it up, right? So he knows these are not real horse and elephant, but still he has the appearance. So like that, you realize that things are not truly existent because you have inferential valid understanding, but still they could appear as truly existent.
They cannot appear as truly existent. Direct perception of ordinary beings.
Right.
Never. Not at any moment.
Right. The Tony Musum the top in that any can Tabe Shula ya any church I'm just about to Nangimarvas again. So in the case of non-conceptual direct realization of emptiness, while you are in that particular perception, things don't appear to you as truly existent, but you come out of the meditative equipoise in the post-meditation, still things could appear to you as truly existent.
But not to an ordinary being. To an ordinary being, things will always, to the direct perception of ordinary being, things will always appear as truly existent.
Right. 맞아, 지금 탐험하기 이렇게 디르바 무슨 참아라 아니 가지는 temba도 나무 잡으러 왔어. 강사 폐바기 간저 무슨 참아러 와게 라 temba도 나무 잡으러 왔어. Right. Right. So our ordinary perceptions, direct or whatever, we can say that things do appear as truly existent. Always. Yes. Yeah. Always. Yeah.
Okay. This is a follow-up to her question
Sure.
and that as well.
Sure.
So that if I'm understanding this correctly, the third view, where
Neither.
I see neither, that neither actually exists and it doesn't not actually exist, then that seems to me like what the whole thing is about when we're talking about the two truths, that they're both true, and that if you grasp that they're both true, it means that things don't actually exist, and yet in the relative experience of phenomena in the quote real world that they do exist or they appear to exist. Is that correct?
Quran condition this goes again that and that the nangzu sumbachi or again. Tembar duba the maduba I masa sajarwa. Says Quran this somebody the latikolata pena tanda pena temple sashana tundam temba the gunza the mani sharwage. Then temba ni de la ya da yang temba zimba yo chobor was arwage. Temba ni ga la temba drube zimba rawage. Tundam temba drudu some gunza them temba yo chobor was again. That dini kaya ki mayembe ki zimba de rawage. This do kala ya ane kalso tundam do chodam je yong maras rawage. In the gunza of the nganzo yong de yo resten rawage. Somebody go this year was again. Nangzo somebody.
That's my so you ranga in the order. Could you carna at the end of what is that ranga? You was don't get your da. And Rangi maybe Keva, you call Rangi maybe Keva Shen and Samutangachi. And the Rangi Tribes Keva Samutangachi. And Tedakaya Meva, Nkora Pomato Chuji, Chujikora, Taka Chuji Sakonzati, because none of them today, Tondu, some years ago.
Then somebody
Tondu, this word. They may Keva sing it, they don't you toss on the Nangama.
No.
That Kaya must be Kevata, the mother of Keva, Nina got to Suju, Gavayori.
No.
You are the Suju, the Kadu in the court, the man of Keva, Zibi Keva, Tegamari. Kaya Keva was Ziayoris.
In the church somebody got Tony Tall and never get a game or again.
You don't hear Kajamari.
The Cochidana.
Kaza, Chardu Keva.
So Geshe wants to clarify that those three possible perceptions, right, are positive without analyzing, right? Let's say ordinary person who has realized emptiness, let's say, right? Inferentially, of course that is, right? So for such individuals, there are three possibilities of how things might appear, right? One that is marked by the true existence, the one not marked by the true existence, and one neither, isn't it? We are not talking about analyzing it. So it's not that the third option brings you closer to realizing emptiness. That's not what it is. It's just we're simply saying, in general, that's how things could appear, possibly. So if we have not realized emptiness inferentially, then for everybody else, the other two are possible. Either things might appear to us to truly existent or not necessarily as truly existent.
이 그래서 this 지동 강사 개발할 것이 농주주 손下서는 이네 그래서 러시 지와 뭐이바 된저 뭐이바 파서라리 유바 샤도로
No.
어디 손下말은 나 요치지로 유지바시 러시면은 메시 딘조도 야면 따다는 거야. 야면 세다 뭐지. 바로 이된 줘야 요마라. 어디 팬도야 돈달래. 인디 노도 som도 해버리죠.
So the importance of understanding these three appearances, right, is that so we are able to kind of follow the middle path, you know. So let's say, and Geshe didn't say that way, but I think this is easy to understand. If we don't have the third option, right, then things appear to us as truly existent, then many of us believe that's how things exist. So we are eternalists, isn't it? And then if things appear to us as non-truly existent, now we might think things don't exist at all. Then we become nihilists, isn't it? The third option says it's possible that things could appear to us as neither. So that shows things do exist, right? You mean? So that's how it helps us to kind of stay in the middle course, you know? Okay. Yeah.
Could I ask one more
Sure,
question, please?
sure.
Thank you. Also, I want to say thank you so much. This is a privilege to learn from you,
Yeah.
and your translation is so excellent. I
Thank you.
appreciate both of you so much.
Yeah.
Something that I've been trying to, or I think it's helping me understand this emptiness.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of simulation theory.
A little bit, yes.
Okay,
But you have
and-
to explain whatever you want to say, yeah.
Okay, so the idea is that this is basically that this relative reality is basically a video game.
Mm-hmm.
If you're familiar with video games and computers.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm running around in the video game, the character, you know,
Mm-hmm.
if I eat food,
Mm-hmm.
it restores my health.
Mm-hmm.
If I jump off a cliff in the video game, I
Right.
die,
Right.
and then I respawn,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and start playing again.
Mm-hmm.
So all this stuff happening in the video game
Mm-hmm.
is happening according to the rules and laws in the computer in the video game.
Yes.
But it's not actually real. It's all just a bunch of
Right.
bits of information happening in the computer. So it's very empty.
Right.
And this reality is kind of like that. Is
Mhm.
that
Mm-hmm.
a good analogy for understanding emptiness? That
Okay.
it's really happening. It's you know, if I eat an apple when I go home,
Right.
the experience of the flavor is delicious and real,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to really sustain my body in this reality. And yet,
Mm-hmm.
it's all really, there's really no substance to any of it because it's all a construct in the one happening or the one experience. Is that?
Thank you. I'll ask Geshe, okay? I think
Okay.
we're getting somewhere, yes. From my perspective. Koran gi di segudo thongla tering king gi di sungjo de nang de ko shuphen do chung sa rwa ge. Samdan de ta Koran te ta tongi ko ra jing te legi mi ta ime kha she sa kan di shura che sa. Koran gi pe di segudo wa ge ting san ting de gi zib je yor wa zemo je. Zemo je de suen di na ya de so kar so da ko mi ko je shue she yor wa ge. Ani so zam ya yang lo chong ba ina pe so shi be na wa yung do wa ge. 다양 지 칼라다 야가를 사베는 소소 류초보다 닌데 초나인 거로 와게 다 뭐스 요 말어 와서 봐 이제 좀 제사 코로나 유번에 싫어 와게 마사 시두고를 가네로 와 니게 용화에도 가르 서비스도 고점 속에 니게 간데 서비나 니게 간간 냐면 요 서야되로 와게 제가 단단 가서 셰데 디더버를 배서 지다 가서 쭉 소소응외에 지 비게 착고를 시키 매버서 와게 얘네 유주 코란 가르이나다 팀이나 가르지 코란 유에 되는 거 와게 맨날 코란 도고도 하면 칼라스면 도고 얘기하러 와게 마도 지금 네 가르를 세가로는 매등에서 와게 어디내로 시고를 왜 사게
sobda tinjobre다.
나좀
다 티가 다서 쉐브르 동주지와 동주 동네면 기라하고 뭐라.
no
진짜 고아는 다 가는데.
so Geshe feels that of course I mean whether it really is or not is when we truly realize emptiness then you would know them, right? It's hard to talk until we realize that. But the way you describe it, right, it seems to be, because let's say with the simulation games, however they design the rules of the game, in that looks like actual experience is happening, right? like, you jump off the cliff and then you die, or that you're eating something, then you feel good about, right? But there's nothing really happening. So in a sense here, that because of causes and conditions, things are, right, functioning. So when you are hungry, you eat, you feel full, isn't it? But if you try to look into more detail, what is it, right? There is no real substance to be found. Does that make sense? Yeah. So he thinks that conceptually what you are thinking is really somewhere there on the track, right? But is that the emptiness? But that real emptiness has to be understood through one's own, right, realization. Okay. Yeah.
This is what我那时候谈业的一万三的，荣幸是毛主的谈业的一万三的，这前面晒头呀的，东西多少么多要么是多，到么这边的没这边是个多，就是连着谈业一万你看看晒头吧，可就学到嘛这个东西，这个说是就么的，这还是都是。的拉米都是啊，前面的东西多少那么多好过么是个，这么送的，到么这边的没这边是。
Geshe recalls from the work of Lama Tsongkhapa that although theoretical, that's how we talk about, as the two truths are separate, but actually when do we really realize it, is that only when we realize emptiness, then we are able to differentiate between, right, the ultimate reality and the conventional one. Until then, it's very hard for us to be able to differentiate between conventional reality and ultimate reality. They looks like always muddled together for us. But when you realize emptiness, then you can say, oh, the conventional reality is names and all of that, right? Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Geshe, last week you gave us an example of how to describe consciousness. And he referred to a sheet of copper, which could be a bowl or could be a pipe, could be anything. So it was a very helpful technique for me to understand. So can Geshe describe a personal experience of direct perception? And could he also describe what it felt like to him? And maybe can he also use an example taken from conventional reality?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. What? Oh, sure. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Morang this go there. Tunda ngema delia that kanzo that demand can cause sange shidu king number shave the pelia sang rawage. Sang neje the karsu mas the rawage. Sang juwa yomarsla rawage. And koneje yaga to demand jubo was the Lagusan and Corina Park Labroage. The Moralia number ship, the Toy the Yomar Digi, sometimes pains at Wage, Sange Karismas at Wage, number ship to Yomaris. That the condition the Dirisha King, Tunyam Giton at Wage. Tony Wilson the thought, what? Marang the King, Tony Wilson of Chashak Wage. Those Wilson the thought, didn't the Tonan of Scardo Wage. And Perry Tony came Masum to Rebessa, Tony Wilson Tony didn't do that, Sir Wage. Much Perry the time. Tony Wilson thought in there Wage. And Tonan didn't do that, didn't tongue that you do Nanda that you are Wage. Didn't Yamyot and Sumra Nasso.
这速度到那些东西，我说到那一没现在线头嘛来玩过，马上就没谁的。东西啥都绕着嘛些，人家速度上么的白山路，人家这嘛些，那抗争的这些啥这事，速度是他这样这些么东西，现在把国内这啥这个，也不得靠着说这个让这当时说不到这些，的这边谁不起不的这让这东西也没的些。
Game Morasa again, Tony Wilson thoughts are taken to again, did color.
I don't think was a target. What you got
I just try to get a direct answer to your questions, right? So just Geshe chuckling. Well, first Geshe said, forget about me directly perceiving emptiness. I have not realized emptiness yet. So forget about the direct perception of emptiness, right? That's just chuckling over there. Okay. Now, but even someone who has directly realized emptiness, it's very difficult for that him or her to talk about it to anybody else and show with an example. It's just impossible. That's why it is called masam jeme. means you cannot explain it just the way you experience it and you want to talk about it. So that means it's up to us as individuals, right? We learn about emptiness, we think about it, we use the analysis, and then we have to see for ourselves, right? What does it feel like when you realize emptiness directly? But then you won't be able to talk to others about it. Sure, like, but this is what it feels like, let me tell you, right? This, you can't. Hopefully the answer to, yeah. So in the Buddhist text, they use the example of if you eat molasses, right, sweet. Now tell somebody says, can you describe the sweetness? You just can't, just the way you experience it. You can only say it's sweet, So, but you're the one experience it, right? What it tastes like actually, but you cannot talk about the actual taste you experience eating molasses or candy, let's say, to the others. So it's like that, emptiness direct experiences. Yeah.
So I have another question.
Yes.
I think probably most people in this room have heard the expression, what goes around comes around.
Yes.
Is there a comparable saying in Tibetan?
So meaning in what context, what goes around comes around. I can think of karma, that's what it happens.
Exactly. And then even if you've read The Water Babies, when Tom is in the river, he meets Mrs. Do as you would be done by, and Mrs. Be done by as you did. So does this mean that most people, because I think it's a kind of a global expression, that most people have some awareness of karma?
So what goes around comes around. I don't know what you're trying to get at it.
Do you have that kind of expression in Tibetan? It means if you do something bad can come back.
We have. Yes, we have. We have expression. Yes, we often use it with the law of karma, right? Yeah.
What is the?
Oh, what's the Tibetan one? You mean? See, let me explain first to Geshe but see things what we are talking about here all this time. Anzo inake lende korge lai shwage le kare chebe ne sange de sosor kora lende sosor zugu kala kor yung lai shwage or the engine al dinde lab chuje sar lende da marda sa peben al dinde ke shedan yor besa yor es la imba yena pegen na kare la go res la ge nge di lende zugu sar korge lab shin digo wage yeah just explain. Yes, we said lende zugu sar korge the law of karma will rotate around your finger. I know that's a bad translation, but that's what it is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Can we have one more over here,
Yes.
please?
Okay, that would be the last today. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if probably the wording of this is probably isn't my first day here, so thanks for having me. But I don't know if I'm using the right vocabulary, but I wrote, when catching myself getting caught up in dualism or conventional reality, I remind myself of the emptiness of things. Sometimes, especially during meditation, I feel deep connectedness with emptiness to where waking everyday life is like a lucid dream. And I feel that all form is ultimately unreal, although I still do my daily responsibilities. Eventually, I get caught up in conventional reality again and go back and forth depending on the day. To me, this means I experience a glimpse of ultimate reality, but not like the full or real thing, or maybe it's like a mental construct or something. Is this good practice where I'm like kind of teetering back and forth to like achieve the middle way, or is this like not what I want to do? Sometimes I feel like when I feel like all things are unreal while I watch my mind function, almost automatically, I feel like, oh, is this like dualism, or am I like clinging to nihilism or something?
So what's going between the two? What are the two things you said? The kind of lucid like dream, and what's the other?
Yeah, like where I feel like everyday life is like a lucid dream, or like I'm just getting caught up in like mental constructs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ala Quran discuss the Quran ki condition the several chaka yena mena Quran nyamyo shena rawage zamzam la da chi komra bu jab dinde che de kan la ya nganzo the nire ki nganzo so nyamyo kare sha ba de ge rawage ngilam ge so rawage dinde ko sona yung do rawage yan dine di ki sona ro la de kala de yan namji nganzo chi kharso gore the cheda rangja li ko tim du rawage chede ka namji nganzo kare che di dinde zam담 니글람 그 손나라고 요거도 어디서 삼로 따셔나 편다라고 여러서 그러봐 그다 디기 단단 디라게 우메람로 로하게 아 딘딘델이야 지 주게알 편다 여러서 그러게
이 편다서 민좀 정심에 빼셔고 말이 편다 이거 있지
So Geshe thinks that, it's good to use that lucid dream-like experience as an example as much as we could to reflect on, right, when we especially get caught up with routine things. Actually, in the Buddhist texts, among many examples we use to talk about the disparity between things, right, how they appear, how they exist, with no substance. Dreams are used as an example, like no substance thing. Something we experience looks like real, but there's no real substance to that. Okay, so he thought that could be helpful, right? Does that help? Yeah.
I guess. So that's normal though, to just kind of like go back and forth, basically, right? That's like the daily struggle.
That's what this is. That zamla ya jinglam tambe so yang zamla ngone yebe so that dini poru de ro again. Pa yebe so so dinre te dinre koran te den digo ro be sa again ro again.
That you know he said that koira to so de do mo you koran one cha ji karsa peja de yeba da dubo sunu da one de sungyo ma de 진짜 소화를 중화 여러
No.
어떻게 지금 있나
그래서 고난 삼바 당 가서 디니 니란 데 들어가게 잠잠람 이런 소화가를 니람 담에 서 중간에 많이 버서가게 야 되네 디게 원에 이바다 디네 니 버를 취되는 것도 서러가게 파도에서 추러 다가란 건네나 다가란 갈수다 삼을 다시 디거를 쓰고서 그게
다 디제가 녀나 신그 그 소화도 지지야 뭐 코로나 그 땅동을 되는 매로 다 디제
Okay. So what Geshe thinks is that, of course, that's how we get caught up, right, between two things, kind of pendulum swinging on both sides. But he thinks that if we could maybe think more like that lucid dream-like example, right, in a dream we could experience something very wonderful, right, or that something tragic has happened. Looks like everything happened, but it didn't happen, isn't it? So if we can use that example more to reflect on the things, then that might help us to be able to understand emptiness, the middle path, right? Yeah, more. That's much. Yeah. Yes, please.
From Amalie.
Yeah.
I don't have. I don't have any question, but I just want to express myself how deeply I appreciate Geshe for his extremely profound teaching, and Geshe is really symbolize for the purity of the treasure. And we just came back from India, and Kim just came back last week, and we are so fortunate to meet with our guru, the founder of our center. And Geshe still really extremely carry himself exactly like the past life, and he really looked really holy, subdued, and extremely humble, like in the past life.
Right.
And Geshe really, just 13 years old, but Geshe still following, our center, and very concerned about his center. And he really deeply appreciate and happy we have a holy teacher like Geshe here with us, and he appreciate all of his students still follow his footsteps, and just express appreciation for all of us, to follow his purity, to contribute, the Dharma teaching, because he say only Dharma can lead you to liberation and enlightenment. So he doesn't have anything to contribution for us, but he advise us, please, follow Dharma, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha purely. So I just want to send his message to Geshe and to all of us, and we wishing and we praying for him, study well, and have a long life, and we coming back soon to guiding us. It's not just for this life, but for many lifetime. And Geshe say hello to everybody, and thank you very much, Geshe,
Thank you.
for his pure teaching.
Amala like the Rishak conditions came as a again. And that Tanda Sonara Bukari chose to gain the Pemasi Tangazo 딘데기 가서다 송조 substitute랑 되게 코란서 슈편부도 서로하게 코란서 망고 싶지 가자 내고 도로하게 전 김 당고 건달래도 하게 근데 혼자 가자 안달라들은 붙여다 단다 딘지 타들 붙이냐도 쳐버하게 아니 지도 갈라 다 붙이 단다 공로 쪽숨스래도 와 그래서 딘지 타들 얘네들 그 낭다되게도 꼭 공부만 하신 단다 냠중 싶지도 서로하게 직라마 인동도 지금 들어가게 지도 권한 안절리 알랍자야 다시 什么给我们的确看起都接的了偏嘛是要么是多少个，确切的偏到些少人，的老是大家的中国多少个，现在可能是的话了呀，但是没去那么这个的刚刚的公路冲就多少个，就像我们呢这个的他什么差呢，扬州的呢出偏的多少个，但没得人嘛那些按照送去那样的，叫我的什么的，叫我吃了呢。亲戚员可能顺带去影响，但可能呀，按照给的当他送去那些可能。你不是来从事啥？俺给人家家庭全部的，他的俺就缺少兄弟的话，但他公路群众的缺少高了呀，就身边人能够多少话个，他缺少看的吃个没的话个，这是某人听的的给来你上学，但俺的他的基础人把子了话个，连的嘛是确定啥的。Okay, thank you. So we will stop there. To be continued. 怎么？Yeah. 啊。Yeah. Oh. Bye-bye. Hello. Oh, yes. Prayer request. Sende rawage Charles Fem Celadeba rawage Charles Fem le tungmen jamjonaronas then it's Celademba. Wooding means rawage Pung mai ngache Quran solia da jik tiji yang tungmen jamjonaronasa then sani lote da Judy Chirin singing the shaktre chicks rawing ke Ale Judy Sanisha Shikusalos the to make Jamjonaronaski. So we have three different types of prayer requests. One is for Charles Pham deceased, and then prayers for the well-being of Wu Ding Ming and Fung Mai Nga. And then I think it's a Lotus sister Judy Chirin. She's having open heart surgery tomorrow morning, so please pray for her and others. Yes.
Could I add one more?
Sure.
I'm so sorry, I forgot to write down.
No, you can say it. Yeah.
For my dad and my brother, my dad fell and broke his arm.
Okay.
My brother feels very guilty because he wasn't paying enough attention.
I see.
And allowed my dad to fall.
Okay.
Pray for both of them for healing.
Sure. Ala Quran ki pala te tumu jamjana nasa pala kholo yasu sarwa ma reje chi kangsa la je chungwe sarwa and puti ki samba khore yago je baba mada che da ko kora simde chi du sa jamjana nasa. We will do that. So let's first do the Avalokiteshvara salutation and 6-syllable compassion mantra for the deceased, and then followed by salutation to the medicine Buddha, 7 or 8 of them, Buddhas, and recite the mantra, and we do dedication for everybody. Okay? Chadong Kole Nyobe, Gyabo Don, Jendong, Gyabo Sangbe, Sangye Don, Kangla Kangde, Tela, Jumba Jere Sela, Chanze de Om Mani Peme Hong, Om Mani Peme. Om Mani Peme Hong, Gewa Di, Nyodo Da, Jere Sewa, Lowa Chijaman, De Salam Gebara Sho, 토제 군라 뇽베 좀된데 선장 퇴배 인도 동에 노선에서 상계 면결라 민두르 야예벨라 차세 대야타 온 베샤제 마 베샤제 라자 서모드가 돼서 대다 옴 베가제 마 베가제 란저 삼몽과데 예소하 개와니 뇨도다 멤베게보 롭조 도와지자 말려바 데예 살람 거버쇼 page 3 노드 야즈 유종 배가된 계산 봉외 주도 면바신 덴바진라 왕도 기초 당년 초군 교라 소원대 page 5 마왕다메 군견 동화된 가린 종소 년다 세제 장근 야와 니와 yap세제 장소 텐제 마베 시바 Tenzin Dorjee, Jingon Zebe, Xie Nigun Changzhu, Tenju, Longdo Tamje, Bebe, Beiyun, Duja Gyatsen, Gundo, Shabden, Tezang Gonda, Chezu, Zombe, Yongzo, Yure, Tube, Nyake, Longri, Deje, Nube, Bedenba, Tubden, Kanri, Dabo, Shabden, Dona, Kongmen, Zeba, Namda, Tenda, Robe, Pende, Jumbe, Hundo Jume, Chebe, Chinleje, Kesan Duje, Dundo, Shep, Chijian Lame, Toge, Melamda, Kesan Duje, Dendan Same, Chozon Dodo, Chidon, Domba, Chida, Membe, Dunga, Lundu, Show, page 9. Ranja Shinge, Gombo, Tseba, Men, Zodo, Namje, Geyun, Drama, Chozo Zeye, Lazo, Tamje, Dade, Mishe, Choge, Ngudu, Tubden, Jedang, Losan, Yawa, Shiro, Tenban, Zembe, Beiyun, Tadun, Duje, Junggu, Xinye, Jo, Yangdu, Ninje, Wongbo, Sowa, Jiden, Sunggu, Chana, Bemedu, Tenbe, Zawa, Soso, Tawa, Namda, Sudin, Yangda, Lamba, Losan, Yenden, Bedo, Shabde, Tuzhong Yazin, Nunzin, Yangbe, Samzhuo, Namzhuo, Sangzin, Zhongbe, Gomzhuo, Xila, Songzhuo, Rebe, Denbe, Ngada, Chenbo, Shabden, Shu, Chebe, Dongwa, Kowa, Bozhuo, Zhongbe, Rilan, Siyu, Bomda, Zhongbe, Dunden, Leshe, Tangzha, Zhu, Keizhu, Xinyin, Chenbo, Shabden, Kebe, Langdo, Gushe, Zeda, Zhongbe, Chara, Nizo, Rangsa, Sangben Duje, Rigu, Yishe, Sumden, Xinyin, Chenbo, Shabden, Tesang, Lulan, Jobe, Dende, Minzhong, Dazhe, Zangme, Siji, Labjen, Zidin, Dende, Beshawa, Zende, Xinyin, Chenbo, Shabden, Chozon, Yawa, Seje, Qinlao, Tuden, Tamjen, Songmen, Tenle, Daja, Lasang, Dabe, Denbe, Do, Zida, Menben, Dung, Lin Du Shu, Changzhu, Simzhu, Rinpo, Maje, Bana, Yeju, Jewa, Nyamba, Meba, Yang, Hone, Gondo, Pebara, Shu, Dongyi, Dawa, Rinpo, Maje, Bana, Jewa, Nyamba, Meba, Yang, Hone, Gondo, Pebara, Shu, Sa, Shi, Beji, Joshi, Medo, Rira, Lingzi, Ninde, Yenba, Sangye, Shinto, Mede, Wewa, 如果能到新了，这把说抗日rabe国外新感受，平常的话马路中呗。现在是我天津要下边4点半多点就去一趟过路让那慢的。那要面要我滚到养大拉满的，里面确实别了龙角节，啥的龙节云的都。 Dorjee Zhangyan Goba Nyu Do Sho. That was on the last page, by the way.